necessarily those of KKNW, its management, or other advertisers. This program is sponsored by Dr. Pat Basili and Transformation Talk Radio.
She's the pushy broad from the Bronx, New York. Follow her voice, her straight talk is nice. She's a pushy broad from the Bronx, oh yeah. Don't be surprised if you wanna listen twice. Make decisions, find the right choice. Know yourself better, find your own voice. It's okay if you need help today, cause everybody needs a little push. From the pushy broad from the Bronx, New York.
Welcome, Transformation Talk Network listeners. My name is Ellen Stewart, and I am the pushy broad from the Bronx. Welcome to my show, Recovery Recharged, where I share advice and support from experts in addiction and recovery. And this episode is my straight talk on addiction and recovery. So I am going to show you what it's like to be coached by the pushy broad. Straight talk today. My topic today is something that I think everybody can get behind and understand and learn from, and that is how to deal with failure to launch young adults. As a recovery coach, I'm going to talk about the unique challenges that parents face when guiding their children through the hurdles of possible addiction, while also asking them to be independent and lead wonderful, beautiful, independent, and strong lives. So I'm going to do what we did last month with great success. I'm going to take questions from you, the audience. So if you're driving to work this morning or you're waking up with your children and you're shaking your head like, I don't know how to deal with this, then this program is for you. If you have a question for me this morning, I need you to call in 800-930-2819, and we will take your questions and answer them one at a time for the next 30 minutes. So I have my executive producer here with me this morning. He's going to give me a list of questions that have been compiled either from emails I have received or from people that have called in previously or from clients that I have dealt with in the past. So good morning, Jessica. Give me the first question, please.
Yes, absolutely. Good morning. This one is in the realm of codependency. And so Carol wants to know, she frequently calls out of work to deal with her son's crisis resulting from his addiction. Is that codependency?
In the short answer, Carol, it's yes. That's codependency. And let me explain to you why. Codependent behavior involves an excessive emotional or psychological reliance on another human being. If it's your son, you are very invested, of course, in his recovery or in his goings on and the things that are happening to him. So as a consequence, you are there constantly, almost micromanaging his life, knowing exactly what he's doing and when he's doing it. But more importantly, because of that, you are sacrificing your own well-being and your own responsibilities, like work, which you should be doing instead of dealing with your son's stuff. And I understand that we have to look at priorities. I am not telling you that you should overlook the priorities. And in coaching, we do the most difficult cases first. It's triage. It's like an emergency room. However, we have to make sure that we are healthy. And if our thoughts and actions are completely reflective of our loved ones' moods that day, then I have lost my identity. Therefore, I am codependent. So the answer to that is yes, you are. And we're going to find out what to do about it. Okay, Jessica, next question.
Yes, this one is the difference of supporting and enabling. There we go. So Mark gives his daughter money because he fears she'll end up on the streets, but she spends it on drugs. What's the line between helping and enabling?
There we go. That's a tough one. We always have to navigate it. We always have to navigate it. But here's the easy answer. Here's the clear way to decide. Am I helping my child's addiction or am I helping recovery? All right, two separate things. Am I actually helping her or him stay clean and sober, or am I feeding that green-eyed monster addiction? Enabling is feeding that addiction, actually putting finances in front of my children so that they can inadvertently go out and buy drugs, even though they tell you they need food, clothing, and shelter. Helping and supporting involves actions that say, I will pay for your treatment. I will pay for your therapist. I will send your food, clothing, and shelter money direct to the landlord or direct to the grocery store without giving them cash right then and there so they can go out to their dealer in the corner. There are ways to help your child without helping to perpetuate their drug addiction. So understand, are you enabling your child by perpetuating the addiction, or are you supporting them by supporting their recovery and keeping them alive by not giving them the tools to destroy themselves? Okay, I know that's a tough one. That's really, really hard, but think about it. And if you have a problem and you still don't understand or are confused, do nothing. Parents think they have to do something right away. Oh my God, I have to go out and fix it and I have to make it right now. No, unless it's a life and death situation, which means you're calling 911 and they're going to the hospital. If it's life and death, 911 and they go, or whatever emergency is in your country, then you decide that this is how you're going to take the time to understand what's right for your child without jumping to conclusions and jumping in to save the day. Parents think that saving the day is the hero's way to go. It's not. Saving the day is the codependent enabling way to go. Pushybroadfromthebronx.com. Go to my 30-minute free coaching session and we'll see if we can get started. And we'll do some parenting coaching. Okay? So that's something very, very good to remember. Jessica, next question.
Yes. Janet wants to support her son, but not his addiction, and so wants to know what sort of boundaries she can set.
All right. So this follows that question from Mark, in that we have to decide that if we want to support our children in recovery, then we have to set boundaries. And I know you've heard those words before and you think they're cliche, but they are not, because boundaries mean you think that you are going to set up boundaries, which means you will build walls. I don't look at it as walls. I look at it as finding myself again, taking back who I am, remembering who I am and what I want, rather than being pulled apart in 10 different directions. When we're parents, we're pulled apart by what our children want, whether they're addicts or not, right? Your child wants this, your child wants that, you have to be here for this, you have to be here for that. You lose your identity when that happens. So boundaries are setting up clear communications, but that takes a little bit of an internal dialogue, doesn't it? Don't you have to say to yourself, maybe I've been doing this so long, I don't really know what I want. I only know what the kids want. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to run for this kid. I have to make sure that my child is doing everything they need to. I have to know where he's going. I have to keep tabs on him. I have to put a GPS tracker on him. I have to do all these things all day long. Where am I today? What do I need for myself? That's part of healthy boundaries. It's also part of healthy boundaries to have clear communication with your children. If you don't tell them what you want, how are they supposed to know? They can't infer. They're not mind readers, and neither are you. But by opening up the lines of communication and telling your child what you expect, number one, and number two, what the consequences and the rewards are for meeting them or not meeting them, how do they know what to do? So open dialogue of communication. But I urge you here to make sure that you remember that you cannot support any child in active addiction. You will support and clearly communicate children that are planning to stay clean and sober and that are moving or are in recovery. Okay? Remember, call in your questions, 800-930-2819. I am ready to listen and take all kinds of questions from you this morning, all you parents out there, or even all your loved ones who have partners that you are managing in a way that's hurting you. I think we have something there, Jessica. Somebody just called in.
Yeah. So Brian wants to know, I get stressed out sometimes during my recovery. I feel my time is stretched too thin for the help. Any suggestions on how to deal with it?
Okay. Brian, if you're in active recovery, whatever program you're in, if you're in 12-step program, my answer in 12-step would be the first thing in recovery is to put the focus of attention on myself. Okay. So I need to take my time. I need to say to myself, what do I want? What's the first thing that I want to do? What serves me? Okay. Because if you're serving yourself, then you're healthy. You know, man, if you put that oxygen mask on first, before you put the oxygen mask on everybody else, then you have the best chance of giving the right help. I have been helping people for 20 years. I'm in recovery for 39 years, and I'm doing that because I put me first, which means I can be the best coach I can be, and I can be the best person responsible to help other people. So I need you to take a breath, take breathing. I need you to decide what works for you. So triage it. What's the most important things that have to be handled first? But how do I keep myself healthy? And Brian, please go to pushybroadfromthebronx.com. Take a 30-minute free consultation with me, and I'll give you some more ideas for your specific stuff. Okay? Thanks so much for calling in this morning. Have a great day. Think of yourself. Okay, Jessica, next question.
Next one is also about communication. So Luke ends up in arguments with his son about his drug use. How can he communicate more effectively about the sensitive topic?
Oh boy, this happens all the time. Parents get stretched so thin and everybody's so pissed off. It's like, you're lying to me and you're doing all this stuff and what's happening here? And here I found weed in your room again, and I see carts hanging all over the place because you're vaping THC or whatever you're doing, or even worse than that, or I'm finding liquor bottles all over the place. Parents are frustrated, they're angry, but most of all, the reason for the arguments are because parents are afraid. Who can blame them? I know what I put my parents through with all my overdoses. I know, I understand. I know what parents go through, and they're scared. So all of you out there that are trying to deal with your parents and you think they're on your back, they're just scared, and you can't blame them. So parents, start using I statements. First of all, the first thing I can tell you is try not to have a discussion with your child when you know they're high, okay? Because it's not going to get anywhere and they're not going to react. And the only reaction is going to be denial or anger. And you're going to be very frustrated by that. So I always tell the parents that I work with to have conversations around this when Children are calm when you are calm, and there is no sensitive topic on the horizon. It's not in the crisis. You cannot talk about stuff in the crisis. The only thing that you can do in the crisis is de-escalate it, calm it down. But when you're in a situation where you can bring up things, where you can both discuss things calmly, and timing is everything there, then you have to say things like, I feel so scared when this happens, okay? Because I know you're angry and I know that you're upset. But let's try getting honest with your kids as much as you want your kids to be honest with you. And that means saying, I'm scared when you do this. I'm frightened that I'm not going to see you. I'm frightened that I'm going to lose you. I'm frightened about the effects of what you're doing. Stop blaming them. Stop shaming them, because an addict has a disease. They can't control it. It has to be helped. It has to be put to a situation where a child can learn how to go into remission and be in recovery. So, open, honest dialogue, expressing love and concern rather than blame or shame. If you want more information, pushybroadfromthebronx.com. Let's start with a free consultation and let's go from there. If you have questions this morning, I need you to call me. 800-930-2819. We're discussing recovery, addiction, failure to launch children, and parenting advice for that very situation. Jessica, next question.
Susan feels guilty when she refuses to bail her daughter out of jail. How can she handle the guilt?
Yeah. This was personal. This was a personal question because it affected my family. And it was something that I refused to do for a member of my family. And it tore me apart. This is not easy stuff. Nobody says this is easy. However, you have to remember something. There is such a thing as saying no, which actually represents a form of caring. It encourages your kid to face the consequences of their actions. The first thing we learn in recovery is that actions have consequences. I'm not saying there isn't a case-by-case scenario, okay? I don't know the circumstances behind Susan's son. However, if this is a situation that is recurring, if this is a situation that has come with a crime attached to it, you have no choice but to let your child face the consequences. And let me tell you something. The prison system in this country is very well equipped to help recovering addicts. There are many programs in prison that are extremely helpful to get addicts clean and sober. I have worked with many of them. So if it's any consolation, I want you to understand that sometimes the only way someone can get clean and sober, if they're not going into treatment, is to be in prison if they deserve it, number one. And number two, really need to find some way to stay clean and sober. So if you let them be and let them handle the consequences of their actions, sometimes that's the only way to save their life. And that's what I need you to work on. Are you saving their life by keeping them there or not? So call me this morning, 800-930-2819, Pushy Broad from the Bronx. I'm answering your questions on the air. Okay, Jessica, next.
This is a family question. They struggle with their son's addiction and lack of independence. Could family therapy help, and how?
Oh my God. Family therapy, yes, 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 yes. Therapy, yes, yes, yes. Coaching, yes, yes, yes. Are you kidding me? Of course. We learn in recovery that something outside of ourselves will help us because we can't do it alone. We struggle. All right. So asking for help is one of the number one ways to get it. There are so many wonderful places in this country, so many family therapists that are so qualified, especially in addiction and substance misuse. It pays. Also, I work with families and parents. That's one of the things that I do. You have parents that are coming to me, which is why I am coaching on the air once a month. I'm telling it like it is. Go to pushybroadfromthebronx.com and we'll do a parent session. We'll do a couple session when it comes to addiction. So yes, family therapy. It's a safe place for all the members of the family to get out what they're doing, understand family dynamics, and explore how you can maybe help, or your person who is involved get healthy, or how maybe you're contributing to that person's addiction. Did you ever think about that? It is a family disease. Everybody plays a role. So if you're willing to do it, the answer is absolutely start today. Jessica, what have you got?
This one's from David. He's neglected his health and social life since his son's addiction worsened. What can he do to take care of himself?
David. I've been telling you, man, you can't neglect your whole world. You can't. How are you going to be strong enough? How are you going to be strong enough to help your son if you're not there to do it? If you're not capable of doing it because you've neglected your health and your world? You cannot neglect your world. Every single research study, every single therapist, every single thing that you read on addiction, including from the American Society of Addiction Medicine, talks about the fact that you must be healthy. Stop thinking of it as it shows that you don't care. It shows that you do care. There is a huge difference between caring about something and caretaking something. Okay? You cannot caretake your son. You can care about him, but you have to care about yourself first so that he can not only see that you are allowing him to make decisions for himself, but he also sees you as a power of example for good, healthy, strong mental health and physical health behavior. So be a power of example to him. David, start today. Okay. So if you have a question, I need you to call me at 800-930-2819 or go to pushybroadfromthebronx.com and find the consultation, the 30-minute free. We'll have a short discussion and we'll see if we can work together. We have a short time left. Jessica, a next question.
Yes, this one is Emily is considering evicting her son as a last resort. Is that type of tough love helpful or harmful?
That's the big one. Tough love is effective. It is. It's effective. However, that doesn't mean your son comes home one day and the clothes in the suitcases are out front. Not yet. Tough love goes in stages, people. That's a whole thing we can talk about, right? I can spend a whole half hour just on what to do when the situation is really, really, really tough, when you're at the ultimate crisis. But the answer is you have to protect your family and all the other kids in the family that are not under the spell of the active addict. That's number one. Number two, you are not expected to shelter or protect someone that is wreaking havoc on the family. And this is something that you have said in the beginning by your communication and by everything that you're saying to your child that will lead up to this point. Tough love is the end result, not the beginning result. You begin with effective communication. You begin with focusing the attention on yourself. You begin with a coach like the Pushy Broad or a family therapist. You begin with the support of, I'm here for you. I want to understand you. I want to help you. I want to be able to put you into treatment. I want you to look at a therapist. I want the family to look at treatment. You begin with all of those things. If still it's not working, then you have to say, I need you to do this on your own. I will support you in your recovery, but not in your active addiction. And I know that sometimes that's the toughest thing to say. And that's what we have to get to, but not without doing all of the things that we have done before. Okay. So this has been a very good session for a lot of you. I will talk about this more as time goes on. Once a month, I am doing Straight Talk with the Pushy Broad. If you've gotten something out of it today, write me at Ellen@PushyBroad from the Bronx. Call me. Let's do a session together. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. This is Ellen Stewart, the Pushy Broad from the Bronx, saying thanks for listening. And remember, everybody needs a little push.
From the Pushy Broad from the Bronx, New York.